Okay, welcome to the altcoin weekly market review. Um, and we're just going to get into it. We're going to start looking at Bitcoin dominance first. So let's look at Bitcoin dominance, see what's happening there. Look at it on a weekly scale. Um, so first look at the chart first and see what's going on with the chart. So we keep on creeping up. We're creeping up. The volumes are quite reasonable. We had this big volume here, and since then, nothing is similar is coming to the market. Um, we are still riding the Bollinger Band, but we're below the KC channel. I think this candle obviously is the controlling candle. And I think we probably will. The reason why obviously we're bringing it back up. I think we're running it back up again is because there's liquidity here between here and here, which wasn't taken when we gashed down. So, we've kind of moved down quite a lot and we left a lot of liquidity at the top between here and here. So we're coming back for some of that liquidity. Maybe we come and take a double top. Maybe we go slightly higher and then we collapse, right? Would be what I would expect. So, we could do it like a double top at, 65.38, or we could just actually even just stop right here, somewhere here, or somewhere there. So that's what I'm seeing at the moment. If I pan it back to 12 hours, we can see that on 12 hours, we have a red candle already. So, we have a red candle, but um, we have a red candle here, and we kind of, big selling came into this market here. We went backwards, but that's a warning. That was the warning shot that, okay, look, things will probably change because there's big selling coming into the market, and this is probably like a fake out move to the top, and now you come back down. So. I think I think this June we'll see a big collapse in dominance. It's coming. The signs are there. The divergences are all there on the weekly chart. You can see if I bring my RSI, you can see the RSI is diminishing downwards and downwards, and this thing keeps going up. So, and there's a divergence here, between here and here as well. So, I think we'll see some form of a collapse on dominance, but we'll be monitoring it and see whether it's able to do that double top or slightly higher high or somewhere in between here. So that's dominance. Let's look quickly at total three. Total three on the weekly chart. You can see we have last week we had a red candle, triple red. And this week, we don't know what we will form, but I think probability wise, it becomes red as well this week. And maybe we come all the way down to retest this point here. We test all this, or we could come all the way down here. The good news is we're still on the trend line. We're still respecting the trend line. We haven't broken the trend line yet. We can violate the trend line a little bit so we can gash down here and quickly gash back up, and that'll be okay. If we close below the trend line, then I'll be expecting us to come down here, which is around 709 billion. So it depends on where this candle closes this week. It will tell us more as to what is likely to happen. If we close something like this, then we might do a small gash to the downside, form a divergence, and then we continue going up. So it all depends on how that weekly candle closes. If we go to 4 hours, I'm going to have a look. At 4 hours, we seem to be cranking up a little bit, I think. Yeah, so we seem to be cranking up. Yeah, so, but, we seem to also have a double top, 839 here, 839. So there's a double top. So if we don't continue going up, then those targets I kind of showed you on the weekly chart will probably come to fruition. So that's that one. And then let's go on to I want to quickly look at tier. So tier, so we've got a bit of a so let me probably use another one. There's too many things on this one. Is clean a bit? Yeah, this one's a much cleaner one. Okay, so what you can see is like you've got these That's like a zoop there, a loop here, and a loop here, right? And we are currently, and this is a 4 hour chart, so bear with me. And so what I would expect is that we kind of come back in down, and that creates a good divergence because this is a cycle high. So we come back down again, and the stochastic RSI will be higher. Will create a higher high, giving us divergence. The RSI will still stay higher. So, your RSI will stay higher. Your RSI will come down, but it won't exceed this bottom here. So maybe it comes back down, but comes down to about somewhere here, and it gives you another higher high. So you've got all these RSI highs, this here, this here, this here, and then you get another one that may come, even if we come, if so long as we don't come below this RSI here, it's RSI about 21, that's okay. So we could even come all the way back down to here, and that will give us the kind of divergence. And I think hopefully, if we go into the 12 hours, for example, that gives you a divergence as well. As you can see, we are cycle low, right, on the 12-hour chart. So if we come back down, and we don't exceed this RSI, which is somewhere here. So you can see this RSI was here. But ideally, I would want this one here to be our low. So maybe this one comes and forms another low here. And then I think if that happens, then we'll keep going up after that. So my target is probably around the 159, between the 165 and all the way to about 150. I think that's this zone. We could enter this zone before we see any proper move to the upside. So that's still a little bit more downside. Um, Render is also looking the same. We have a pink candle on the 12-hour chart. So I'd expect us to come back and exceed it. And we just having a dead cross happening, which we've rallied into. So, I'd expect us to come back down and fill there's liquidity here between here and here. So I'd expect this to exceed this $2.50, $2.50, do a double bottom here or slightly lower, and then continue to go up would be what I would expect on render as well. So potentially there's a bit more downside on this as well. Here because there's a lot of liquidity sitting here somehow. So that's render. Um, and then we go on to AAVE, 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 right? Let's get AAVE up. So AAVE, we drew this box last week, and we didn't get near it, and I said I would leave it there. So, AAVE looks strong. It's not broken there, the 50. So, we have to wait to see how the weekly closes. If the weekly closes like this, it's still bullish. If it does, it's still bullish. The key here is that the weekly should not close below. If it close here, it's okay. Close below here, not good. So it's looking bullish on the weekly chart. So chances of us getting into this zone, mm, unless the whole candle becomes red, and even if the whole candle becomes red, I think chances are we will probably not go down a lot because um, this probably will stay green. If this becomes red, then this becomes red. But looking at what I'm seeing here, this looks good. You know, the chances of it all being red is possible. We've just had a golden cross, and after the golden cross, you tend to come down a bit. I think we'll come below 2625. So we can expect to come somewhere here. So I think let me move this to somewhere here. Yeah, we can expect something like that. And I think this candle will be exceeded. It's a pink candle. It will be exceeded. And then after that, hopefully, we can then start going up. So that'll be that for Aave. I'll quickly look at Pepe. So move on to Pepe. So Pepe on the weekly chart. Yeah, so we had this bullish rejection candle, but the volume is big. We've tried to go, we can't. I think we'll come below it. I think we will come below it. I think this box will be filled. So I'm gonna leave this here. This box, I'll leave it here. I think I'll probably even extend it to somewhere there. It will be somewhere here that Pepe falls back into. And then let's look at the next one. Let's look at Mika. Mika has done a really good job. I think it's done really well to creep up. But you can see there's a divergence between here and here, right? So, um, this was an exit pump, I think, giving people an opportunity to exit. We seem to have a double top on it. So this is 2173, 2185, 2188, kind of, tops all here. So, and there's a divergences on them. So, I think this will come down as well. It could come all the way down back to here first. And so let me move the liquidity really sitting here on this one. So sitting somewhere here. So let's move it there. And hopefully it can come here and get support and continue going up. And then let's look at CRV. CRV, let's go into it quickly. So CRV has also got a candle of interest, which is here. And so it's coming, we're already coming to our box. We've already come into our area of interest box. Uh, I think if this is supposed to go down, which is possible because we've just exceeded this, so I would be thinking this is gonna be coming all the way probably to where the liquidity is sitting, which is here, if it's supposed to come down. Yeah, this is one that I'm not 100% sure, but this is where the liquidity is sitting. So it could unravel itself into here before you start going up. And then let's move on to the next one. Injective is another one that I'm following. So injective, again, injective will probably come down some more. You've got a pink candle here. And so I'd expect this to be exceeded as well. So I'd expect this to probably come into an area of interest box. I'd expect this candle here. This candle here will be liquidity. So we could come into here before we go up. That'll be my kind of area of interest. And I think meme coins, I want to cover a few meme coins quickly. Goat. So we can have a look at goat and see what's going on with goat. Goat on the daily chart. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's liquidity here. So I would expect us to fill this liquidity here. Somewhere here, we'll come back into that on that one. Mooding, last week we drew that box. That box has been filled. I think we'll move on to the next liquidity zone, which I think is here. That'll be our next zone for liquidity for this week on Mooding. I think, yeah, that's where the next box of interest would be. So that's Mooding, more downside. If we break this 200, which is most likely, then we'll come into here before we go up. Peanut, let's quickly look at Peanut, see what's going on Peanut. We've come into our box of interest, and one level to the downside here to I think we could get one more leg to the downside. It's looking good. I mean, it's coming to the liquidity box. I'll leave the liquidity box here because, although it's been filled, uh, it's not been filled properly. We could do a triple top, triple bottom, like here, here, and here before we really start going again. But this one looks a bit better. If I go on the weekly chart, the weekly chart doesn't look good. So I'd expect us to come down here to the bottom here at the very least, which is 1579. Yeah, so I don't need to put it that far. Somewhere here we'll come into that. So a little bit more on that one as well. And Bonk, I want to make this very quick. Bonk came into our area of interest for last week. I think I'll leave the area of interest for Bonk where it is because I think we could come slightly back down here and continue going up. So that one is fine. And then Trump, let's look at Trump and see what Trump is doing. So this week, I think we probably end up closing. We've broken the trend line. So we came close to, we're not in the box yet. So I'll leave the box there. I think we could hit that box before we go up. Let's move to Fatcoin. Fatcoin on the weekly chart looks good, but there's a lot of selling pressure. It's come back into our box here. Step into the daily chart and see where we are. I think we could potentially come all the way down here. That would be where the next zone of interest would be for me on Fatcoin. Let's go to XPX. This one will come below here. So that area of interest is staying where it is. It's not changing. We're not changing this at all. It's a double top. So we have a double top on it. So if you look at it from that perspective, then it could come all the way at the very least down to here, down to about 9.7. So I will move this interest box to somewhere there. Yeah. And then let's move on to Mooding, Moonpig. So Moonpig hasn't come into our box, so we'll leave it there. I think we'll get there. And Aura, this one has pumped and it's left with a dump. So the dump is coming. And yeah, I'd expect us to come all the way down to these tops here. So, I'd expect us to come all the way down to here. It will come back and test these bottoms again. So that's that one as well. And I think that's all I've got for altcoins. So we'll call it a wrap here. And I wish you all the best. This is obviously just what my views are. Uh, you know, just sharing my views on what I'm doing. It's not financial advice. It's not an invitation to come and do anything. So take it with a pinch of salt, and we'll catch up next week. All the best.